Fellowships. So those of you that might belong to a Rotary Fellowship, that's terrific. A group of like-minded individuals with a certain passion for a specific hobby or area. It's a great opportunity. And if you're wondering, well, how many Rotary Fellowships are there out there and what opportunities might I have? Feel free to hit the website. You might want to pick a day when the website's working well for you, but they are out there, and there's several interesting groups that you can kind of join and be a part of. Also, our Rotarian of the Month is Howard Rudge. Again, want to congratulate and acknowledge Howard. He sent me a note this morning, kind of felt a little bit bad. He says, you make me Rotarian of the Month, and I've got a house full of out-of-town company, and I'm not going to make the meeting. But I told him not to worry, Howard, you're Rotarian of the Month, whether you can make the meetings or not. And again, we're very honored and fortunate to have Howard as our June Rotarian of the Month. A couple of club announcements that I have before I ask Stephen to introduce our guest speaker for this afternoon. Been through these before, but I'm going to continue to remind folks. July the 10th, out at the Wigwam Resort in Litchfield Park, West Phoenix, the district is holding a celebration from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, Saturday, the 10th of July. We'll start off by current District Governor Elizabeth Mahoney congratulating and acknowledging clubs that have received their citation or earned their citation based on achieving certain goals this year. I fully expect Sun Lakes to be on that list based on our numbers and our data that is in the system. In addition to that, there'll be a formal induction of the new district governor for the 21-22 Rotary year, Brett McKean. And so it'll be great to for those that can join and would like to, the current club, Bill McCoach is planning on joining me. Our four-way speech contest winner from Hamilton High School, Navaneeth, is going to join along with his father. And Elizabeth had asked us to arrange for Navaneeth to actually deliver his four-way speech to the audience that day. And that will be a Zoom or in-person opportunity. So if you'd like to attend, but you don't want to invest in the drive cross town, so to speak, that will be an option as well. And I'll make sure that link is made available prior to that meeting on Saturday, the 10th of July. But if you'd like to, you can mark your calendars. I found out at our last meeting in Palo Verde a week ago, Rowan Floth indicated that he and Paula were planning on attending. So a lot of space available, and all Rotary members in the district are invited to join. There is a $30 cost, and there is a registration online if you would like to attend. In addition to that, the following Tuesday, which will be the second Tuesday of the month, July the 13th, right now, afternoon meeting, likely in the Saguaro room at Cottonwood. We will be joined by both current District Governor Elizabeth Mahoney and new incoming District Governor Brett McKean at our club meeting that day. And they will take part in the actual induction of the new officers or existing officers that are continuing on, as well as being at our club and providing an update in terms of how the district performed and what was going on in this past Rotary year and what to look forward to upcoming. So I know vacation season is in its height, and it may not be convenient for you to Zoom or attend in person that day, but if you can attend on the 13th of July, I certainly encourage you to do so. One other observation or an opportunity, I know Bill McCoach addressed our club last week, again, reminding them that he is the speaker chair for the upcoming year. And I do believe some Rotarians have indeed stepped forward and volunteered to take a month or a certain number of club meetings within a month in the coming year. Bill, quick update. Are we about halfway there yet, or are we still looking for quite a few speaker coordinators? Or
I think we're just about there. So, and a couple of you have stood up and said you probably can get 1 or 2 speakers during the year, so that should cover it. So I think we're going to be okay.
Excellent, excellent. And Gary Whiting, I know you're actively working with Janet Hartkoff and potentially Honora Stephen and maybe Christine, as different people are going to have different roles in terms of making sure certain information is updated on the website. But I think one of the nice things about our website is how easy it is to go click on speakers and see who the upcoming speakers are that will be addressing our club. So if you're looking at a particular window of meetings and you want to make sure you can attend a meeting, what a great tool, and it's right there available from our homepage. So thank you very much for having that functionality in place. And I would say the bios and the information on the speakers has been very, very good this past year, and I'm sure that will continue going forward. So thanks to everybody that is involved in helping arrange great speakers and people of interest for our club members to learn from and enjoy. I do have a few other announcements, but I'm going to hold those to the last part of the meeting, where we will also do some happy, sad, and recognize a couple of birthdays and anniversaries that take place here in June. But now, Stephen, I'm going to turn it over to yourself. Thank you for recording this meeting so that those that are not here can hear the replay, so to speak. But over to you to introduce Amanda today.
Awesome. Thank you, John. All right. So here with us today, we have Amanda Ventura Zink. She's Waymo's public affairs manager and works on the company's community outreach and education efforts in the Southwest. Before joining Waymo, she was an editor, reporter, and most recently, the director of public relations at Evolve PR and marketing in Scottsdale, Arizona. While at Evolve, she worked for several years with Waymo as a third-party consultant and helped share the autonomous driving technology company's story with the media in Arizona. Amanda continues to share Waymo's story, now as a Waymonaut, through the company-led public education campaign. Let's Talk Autonomous Driving. The Let's Talk campaign pursues partnerships and supports organizations that care about driving and the conversation forward about mobility, accessibility, safety, sustainability, and autonomous vehicles. And on a personal note, Amanda joined my Chandler Chamber Leads group a couple months ago and had a conversation with us, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I personally have been a Waymo rider since it was in its beta testing phases. So I am a huge fan of the vehicles. Amanda, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for the invite, and thank you to everyone in the club for accepting me to present to you. I'm really excited to share a little bit more about Waymo, what we're doing here in the Valley, and our mission and kind of what's in store for the future. So as you know, I know that Stephen's a longtime writer, and I believe many of you probably live near our service territory. So I always like to ask, you know, has anyone been for a ride, or do I have any early riders? Okay, nice. All right, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I have a little bit to share with you guys. Okay, does that look good for everyone? Thumbs up if you can see it. Okay,
yes.
cool.
Did you mean to go off camera at the same time?
You know, I don't think that my I'm doing this through a browser, and it makes me wonder if I can't be on. Let me see.
Don't worry about it. Oh, there she is.
Did I start my video? Does that work okay?
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Yeah, thank you for the heads up on that. All right, so if you've probably seen one of these types of vehicles, if not all three of them, driving around the East Valley. And I'm going to share just a little bit more about what we've been up to over the last year and a half. Even though we've been in the Valley since 2016, there's been some really exciting updates recently. And I just want to first take a few moments to talk about our mission at Waymo and touch on a few of the milestones that we've achieved over the last decade plus since we started developing this technology, and how that's gotten us to where we are today. So I like to start with our name. Waymo stands for A New Way Forward in Mobility. And we're an autonomous driving technology company with a mission to make it safe and easy for people and goods to get where they're going. At our core, we believe that fully autonomous driving technology holds a promise to improve road safety, offer new mobility options for millions of people who can't drive themselves, and make the roads safer, save lives. So what drives us today is that driving is not exactly as safe as it could be. As you can see here on this slide, there are 50 million injuries and more than 1 million deaths worldwide due to vehicle crashes. And around half of those people affected are pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. And there's a clear theme to the vast majority of these incidents, which I've outlined up here. Human error and intention counts for about 94% of accidents on our roadways. So something that we think the most experienced driver, which is what we're building, could help solve for. So for more than a decade, we've put our technology through what we call the world's longest and toughest ongoing driving test. We've been at this for more than a decade, and we've autonomously driven more than 20 million miles on public roads, more than 20 billion miles in simulation, and we've tested in over 25 different US cities. So collectively, that experience is equivalent to about 1,000 years of human driving experience, and that benefits every single vehicle in our fleet. So what one car learns, all of our technology can be applied to all of our cars. So it is a collective learning experience for our tech. So I've said fully autonomous quite a few times at this point in the presentation. So I like to just take a quick break and explain exactly what I mean when I say fully autonomous driving. So unlike other technology that may prompt you to take over during your ride, Waymo is always the driver from the beginning to the end of the journey. No one's required to sit at the wheel. So as you can see up on this slide, there's this 1 through 5 scale, and this was actually developed by the Society of Automotive Engineers. Over here in this white section between 1 and 3, there still needs to be a human driver. So anything that kind of falls in this area is what we call driver assist systems. And these are systems that you most likely have in your personal vehicle if you own one. Levels 4 and 5 in this blue section is where things get really interesting. It means an empty car can pick you up, take you where you need to go with you sitting in the back seat. You don't need to be near the steering wheel or ready to take over at any point. And that's truly autonomous, and that's what we're working on. And I want to just note here too that this slide's really important for us at Waymo because at the beginning of the year, we made a really conscious decision to change the way that we talk about this technology. We are moving away from words like self-driving and driverless to autonomous. And we believe that that helps people understand that the Waymo driver is behind the wheel. We think that it's, perhaps inaccurate to say a self-driving car because it's the Waymo technology that's driving the car. And as more people kind of join this conversation in the media and, as they talk about their own technology and their own personal vehicles, researchers have actually found that people tend to conflate different terminology that maybe is a driver assist system and thinking that it's fully autonomous. So when we say fully autonomous, we really are only talking about technology that allows you to sit in the back seat and enjoy your ride. So the Waymo driver, I'm going to break this down for you guys a little bit here. This is how we refer to our autonomous driving technology, and we worked on 4 generations of it. We launched our 5th generation last March, and it is a mix of hardware, software, a powerful artificial intelligence compute system, and they all work together. They're all built in-house by us, and they help our Waymo driver navigate the world around it. And again, like that technology that is on our passenger vehicle is also applied on the semi truck you see over here, this little blue delivery truck on this, well, it may not be translating in the video, but on the right-hand side of the slide. And so I want to walk you guys through how all of the spinning and sensors work on our vehicles. And I'll try to make this pretty quick. So let's start with the hardware. This graphic here kind of gives you a bird's eye view of the Waymo driver and its main components. So we have a sensor suite that includes LiDAR, cameras, radar, and then the AI compute
Now
system
I'm back.
Sorry, was there a question? Okay, I'm gonna keep moving.
Sorry about that. Somebody jumped in. Carry on.
Oh, no, that's okay. I wasn't sure if maybe there was something wrong with the slide. So each of the sensors in our Waymo driver hardware, so all the sensors on the exterior plus the compute system, this is how they all kind of relate to one another. So the LiDAR gives us this really high resolution view around our vehicle. It allows us to see in 3D and it can see in the dark of night. It's complemented by a vision system that includes 29 cameras. And this gives us a really high resolution perspective, 360 degrees around our vehicle. And we even have cleaning systems. So, you know, if it's dusty out, we have little windshield wipers that come out and clean themselves. And we have heaters. So, you know, if we're driving in cold weather conditions, we can help regulate the camera system. And then the last sensor that I'll talk about is our radar. So this is state-of-the-art high-resolution imaging radar. We have it in 6 places around the vehicle, our passenger vehicles, and they track static and moving objects, and they can see small objects at really great distances, and they can distinguish between really closely spaced objects. So radar complements the LiDAR, the cameras, and has unique capabilities in weather. So when it's snowy, foggy, or raining. So together, all of these sensors paint a complete picture of the world around our Waymo driver in 360 degrees and enable us to safely navigate. On the software side, artificial intelligence has just been a complete game changer. So it touches every part of our system and it helps us answer 4 really important questions that any driver, even you or I, need to answer when we're operating a vehicle. So those 4 questions start with, where am I? So before our car can drive in any location, our team has to build detailed 3D maps. They highlight information around us, such as road profiles, curbs, sidewalks, lane markers, bicycle lanes, crosswalks, traffic lights, stop signs, other road features. I think you get it. And so in order to answer where am I, we take these detailed maps and we combine them with live information that our sensors are getting in real time, so that we can compare what we've seen in the past and what we're currently seeing when we're driving. So once we know where we are, we have to ask what's around us. So our sensors and our software are constantly looking for objects around us, such as pedestrians or cyclists, road work, obstructions, and they can navigate traffic controls like traffic lights or temporary stop signs. So there's a lot of complexity to really work with when we come to answering this question. One way that we kind of explain this is that all of us as pedestrians might look different, we might walk different, we have different gestures, we have different shapes. And our software can still understand that you or I are a pedestrian, even if we look different. So we've answered where are we, what's around us. Now that we know what's around us, we want to know what these other objects and people are going to do. So our software predicts the movements of objects around us based on information such as their speed and trajectory. And then we use that information to predict the different paths that other road users may take. So based on all of that information, we decide what the Waymo driver is going to do next, or the Waymo driver just determines the optimized trajectory, the speed lane change, the steering maneuvers, everything that it needs to do next to help progress along the route safely. So this deep understanding of the world around us really helps us confidently handle complex situations and manage really rare and unusual situations that maybe you or I would only come across once or twice in a lifetime. And so a really fun example is when we're testing, early days was we saw a woman on a motorized scooter chasing a duck in the middle of a neighborhood street with a broom. And so those are one of those once in a lifetime experiences, but our technology, that was really valuable because now if we ever experience something like that again, we will know how to appropriately behave. So I had mentioned this earlier, but the Waymo driver is applied across 2 main business lines for us. So the passenger vehicle one is one that you probably are most familiar with in Chandler. But we also help move goods. So in Chandler, we also have these semi trucks and we have these blue delivery vans. And I'll get a little more into kind of their significance to our mission in Phoenix, but I want to walk through Waymo One and talk about some exciting things happening with that. So Waymo One is our ride-hailing service. In April 2017, we first invited members of the public, like Stephen, to ride in our autonomous service. It was a confidential research program called the Early Rider Program, and riders tested out our technology, our new features, and they shared feedback and thoughts and really helped us shape the future of autonomous driving. So after about a year and a half of doing that, we took this next big step in shared mobility in 2018 and introduced our public service called Waymo One. And so we were able to serve thousands of monthly active riders and help them get where they needed to go through an app, just like you might use for another ride-hailing type of service. And so people were using it to get to the grocery store, to get to date night, to commute. And it was really, we were still getting that really valuable feedback. This past October, we made another big step where we announced that anyone in the public could download the Waymo app and hail a fully autonomous Waymo vehicle in the East Valley. So that meant that, you know, if you've ever taken a ride with us, maybe in those earlier days, there may have been an autonomous specialist in the front seat. And now when you hail a ride with us, there's no one in the front seat. So when you hail a ride, there's a very good chance that a completely empty vehicle will come and pick you up. So with Waymo One, 100% of the rides are fully autonomous with no human driver behind the wheel. And people are able to hail it. You don't have to be part of the early rider program. Just anyone can download the app and take a ride. So what does it look like? If you're unfamiliar with the process, it starts right on your phone, and the Waymo app makes it really easy to get where you're going. You would enter your destination, you would set your pickup point, confirm your trip details, and then Waymo comes to you. So if you're familiar with you know, apps like maybe Lyft, you might be kind of familiar with the configuration of this and the process of it. So once you're inside the vehicle, if you can imagine kind of like when you got on an airplane and the seat in front of you has a screen, that's what you can expect when you're inside the vehicle. And this is kind of a snapshot of some of the things that show up on the screen. So we really spent a lot of time trying to decide just how much information, you know, we should be sharing with the riders to kind of help them feel comfortable and even understand what the Waymo driver is seeing while it's navigating the world. And we've even included some cool new features that maybe aren't even showing up here, such as being able to play your own music or podcasts. You can see the little emojis that are popping up here. You can give feedback in real time while you're taking your ride. And we're adding other things like this dark mode here so that when you're riding at night, you don't have this bright screen in your face. And so the idea is that Waymo One riders have the option to personalize their ride, but they also can kind of expect a similar experience every single time they get into the vehicle. One last thing that I'll share about the Waymo One service that I really like, one of our newer features, is that we now have a dashboard light. So when you go to hail a ride, you can pick a 2-letter code. Most people pick their initials and a color, so that when the Waymo vehicle comes to pick you up, you'll know that it's your vehicle because it'll say, in my case, AZ in like purple. And so you also have that reassurance of that is my vehicle. That's the one that's here to come pick me up. It's a feature that I think a lot of people really like. And then I just want to give you a little peek at our Jaguar I-Paces. They're all electric, and they are being slowly introduced into our fleet. Right now they're in San Francisco, and they'll eventually be rolled out into the Waymo One fleet as well at some point. One more beauty shot of our trucks. So we are working on commercial goods delivery through what we call Waymo Via. On the trucking side, you know, we see this as an opportunity to make roads safer. We also see it as an opportunity to make the movement of goods more efficient, which, you know, has potential benefits for consumers as well. And we currently are testing along this I-10 corridor in the Southwest. So you might see us when you're driving between Phoenix and Tucson, and then along into New Mexico, and then we're also driving between Dallas and Houston. On the local delivery front, you might see some of those blue delivery vans. This van isn't blue in this picture, but they're now blue. And we partner with AutoNation and UPS to move car parts and parcels in Tempe. So you might see one of our delivery vans helping move goods. On just kind of the note on partnerships and groups that we work with in the community, consumer trust and confidence is really key to the success of our technology. If people need to understand how this technology works, if they're going to share the road with it, or if they're going to take a ride with it. And so one of the things that we did was we launched the world's first public education campaign about autonomous vehicles called Let's Talk Autonomous Driving. And we partner with organizations like AAA, the National Safety Council, the Girl Scouts, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, as well as groups like Foundation for Blind Children, Foundation for Senior Living, to around this shared belief that this technology holds the potential to improve mobility, save lives, and increase access to independence. So, one of the hardest conversations that a family is ever going to have with an aging loved one is when it's time to give up the keys. And it's something that, we think that autonomous driving technology has potential to make that conversation and that transition a little easier. You can still maintain independence if you're able to take a ride and not need to be the operator of the vehicle, and not rely on someone else either to get you where you're going. Or rather, you would rely on the Waymo driver. So we partner with these organizations in a variety of ways. Some of them, we create mission videos, we create PSAs, like this Child Passenger Safety Week video that we worked on with AAA. We do have car seats in our vehicles as well as booster seats. And then we work on research too. So, we want to understand what people think about this technology. I mean, invite people to be part of the conversation. You don't have to be part of a nonprofit to work with us. We want to hear what people think about it so that we can build technology that people want to ride in and understand, how they would use it. So we are very driven to show up in communities where we're operating. A couple of these fun photos up here is, I'm really proud of these two over here on the right-hand side. When COVID happened, we had showed up for all these community events, and then, we weren't able to show up physically and meet people in the community. So we were like, hey, we have these vehicles that could move things. How can we partner with nonprofits in the community to move PPE, to move food to senior communities? How can we help it move learning equipment for schools around the start of the school year? And so we acquired a number of local partners like Ascend here, and this lower photos when we moved some PPE for Valleywise Health in Mesa. And we've been able to kind of leverage our technology in a unique way that was giving back to the community at the same time. And so that's something that we're really proud of. And that's something that maybe I'll end on that. But I'm really excited to hear everyone's questions about our technology. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see your faces a little easier.
So Amanda,
All right.
Amanda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is fascinating. I do have a few questions, but I'm going to ask the first one or make a comment, and then I'll look for people with their hands up, and we'll kind of facilitate it that way. I was that lucky child that had the conversation with their mother about it was time to not drive, because basically it was, some event is going to happen, Mom, when it's time to stop driving. It could be an accident, it could be a near miss, it could be, what have you. And a lot of those have negative consequences. And I remember the look on her face when I said, I'm serious, we're going to do this. I can only imagine her face if I told her the alternative is I'm going to put you in a car without a driver. And at her age and the generation that she grew up in, obviously the more mature and the more commonplace this becomes, that's going to become a lot easier. So I'm fascinated to see that migration and how that takes place. But my other question, and then I'll turn it over. So what zone do I have to live in right now to be able to enjoy a fully autonomous experience? Because I don't think it's everywhere yet in the valley, correct?
Right, John. So thanks for sharing that story about that conversation that you had with your mom. And it's one that, I am hopeful that is an alternative that, more people will be able to embrace in the future, especially if they're lucky enough to have a loved one that sets them up and explains to them how the technology works. So, and, kind of introduces them to it. And so to answer your question about the service territory, right now we're operating in about a 50 square mile area in the East Valley. It covers Chandler, parts of Tempe, Ahwatukee, parts of Gilbert. And so if you download the app, it's a little easier to see kind of the actual outline of our territory. I would say that, one interesting feature that we have incorporated into the app is when you're hailing a ride, and let's say where you want to go is like right outside the territory, we do say, hey, if you don't mind walking, 5 minutes or 2 minutes, we can provide walking directions as well. So, if you're available to or capable of doing the multimodal, trip, then, we advise that. And actually a really interesting new feature too that we just introduced this week is in Google Maps. I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you go to plan your trip, and you enter in your location and your destination, and you can kind of toggle between like, I want walking directions or public transportation directions. You can actually toggle over to rideshare, and Waymo is now right there, right next to Lyft. And so it makes it a little easier too. So you are able to, access and see kind of the trip estimate and timing and cost right there in Google Maps. So it's all in one place for you.
Okay. Any questions from the group? We're going to start with Dave Sanders, and then I'll go to Don Robbins and then Ed Anderson. So go ahead, Dave.
Hi, I have actually 3 questions. I'm going to kind of ask them all at the same time because I'm afraid I wouldn't remember them if I asked them individually. But
okay.
The first one is, how does Waymo handle gated communities? The next one is, I'm sure the system software has constant monitoring of the system looking for failures. And so when it's on a trip and detects a failure of one of the sensors or components, what happens? And also, beginning this week, the city of Tempe is beginning to test their new streetcar system. So this is a new thing being introduced into the traffic pattern. And I was curious, does Waymo just automatically can kind of absorb that?
Great questions. So I'll start with your first one, the gated communities. So at this time, we do not drive into gated communities, but if you live in a gated community, you can set your pickup point right outside the community, and then we would come pick you up, kind of usually in like a pull-out area or somewhere that, kind of the entry point. And then on the systems side, that's such an important and great question. I'm glad you asked it. We do have a redundancy system. So, if one element maybe, for whatever reason isn't working, then we have another system that would kick in. We also have a rider support team. So if at any point a rider, even if there's nothing wrong with the ride mechanically, if a rider decides that they want to get out of the vehicle for whatever reason, there's a pullover option. So there's a button inside the vehicle, and then there's also an option on your phone if you're using the app, to where you can pull the vehicle over and it'll safely find a stopping point where you can then disembark from the vehicle. Just kind of a feature that I wanted to add in there. And then on the streetcar question, so that's a really interesting one. We do create these 3D maps of the areas where we're driving before we drive there, and then we, compare the information in real time. And so that might be one where that would be, an important area for us to perhaps remap. if we're going to be driving there really often. I'm not sure if we are driving where the streetcar is operating right now. If I remember right, it's kind of through that Mill Avenue area. And I don't believe that our service extends up through there just yet.
Right, it's
So-
down like Mill and University in that area. Yeah.
So I think we're a little more south than that area.
Okay, Don Robbins?
What vehicle manufacturers will you be working with in the future to provide cars, SUVs, and heavy-duty trucks?
Yeah, good question. So right now, our ride-hailing service includes Chrysler Pacifica minivans, so hybrid Chrysler Pacificas, and Fiat Chrysler is now Stellantis. So they're one of our car manufacturing partners. We have a relationship with Volvo, and we have a relationship with Jaguar, Land Rover, so that Jaguar I-Pace that I showed you very briefly in the Waymo 1 portion, that's a vehicle that we're incorporating our technology into. And then on the trucking side, we announced a relationship with Daimler, and they're doing some really exciting work in kind of the EV space as well. So those are the manufacturers that we're currently working with, and we're really proud of our relationships with car manufacturers, since we're really a technology company, and so we rely on their expertise when it comes to the vehicle itself. And
Very interesting.
Yep, very good. Ed Anderson? Unmute there, Ed. Unmute.
Okay. On your over-the-road semis, are they driving totally autonomous now?
Yeah, so we do have vehicle specialists or autonomous specialists in the front seats of our semis. But yes, we are testing our Waymo driver technology on the Class 8 trucks that you saw.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Gary Whiting?
I actually have two questions. The first is how do you charge for a ride? I'm assuming via credit card and so much a mile. And the second is hacker proof. What if I'm in that and all of a sudden ransomware hits you guys? Now I'm stuck. Will it even unlock the car?
Thank you for those questions. Answer to question one on charging for rides. So yes, through our Waymo app, you would enter your credit card information through secure platform, and then it would get charged. And you do see the estimate for the ride before you confirm your trip. So you're very kind of similar to like a Lyft app. You would get it. You'd be able to say like, okay, yes, I approve all of these trip details and consent to that. And the pricing itself is based on a variety of factors such as time and distance. However, if for whatever reason you need to be rerouted, or like maybe it's a longer route but it's faster for some reason, maybe there's like a traffic incident somewhere else, and that happens during your journey, the pricing shouldn't change. It would be whatever pricing you had at the beginning of the ride. And then for your second question, I think that goes back to the redundancies, making sure that we have redundant systems in place. But also, security is such an important part of a safe ride. And so I think it's key to note too that we don't use like wireless to operate, for our vehicles don't operate on a wireless system. And so that's an important, I think, security distinction to bring up there. Yeah,
Dave
John.
Sanders, and then did someone else have their hand up? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to kind of tie on to Gary's question regarding payment. And I know like in Uber, you can request an Uber and then all of a sudden, if it becomes a high priority time and the availability of Uber drivers aren't there, that a significant premium gets added to the ride. Does that going to kind of happen with Waymo, or are there going to be enough cars to?
Yeah, no surge pricing for our service. So we don't have that.
So, man, I'll take the next question. Somebody that might look a lot like me, that was born and raised here, knows on a Tuesday morning in the summer, it takes 21 minutes to go from my house to the airport. And that car go a little bit faster than the posted speed limit. If I were to contract with Waymo and they come, how many minutes will it take me to get to the airport? Particularly in a community where 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit tends to be more common than not.
John, is this an SAT question? Just kidding.
Just an example.
If two vehicles leave at the same point and one's going the speed limit and one, just kidding. Yeah, so we do obey the speed limit. And we're proud that we have vehicles that obey the traffic laws.
94% of people that making an error, I get it. But that obviously people will adapt. So I've done Bolt over in Europe as well as Uber and whatever. And so somewhat familiar with that type of program. Is everything right now unique? So if I'm going to the airport and I click it in there, right now you're not having a Waymo of one vehicle show up with someone else who they've also picked up that's going to the airport? Or is that an option where you could share that ride with someone at this point, or is it all one-to-one, so to speak?
Yeah, at this point, we don't have a pooling option. What we did just introduce that I really like is a multi-stop, is what we're calling it. And so if you have maybe 3 errands that you want to run in the day, you can schedule all 3 of them when you initially schedule your ride with us. And you can get off at stop number 1. So let's say stop number 1 is like the dentist. And then whenever you're ready for stop number 2, you would just tell your app, I'm ready for the next stop. And we would come pick you up. And then you could just continue on to stop 2. And then again, like repeat it. So maybe stop 2 is like run to the grocery store. And then the last stop is your house. And so that's a feature that we think is really cool because it gives you that flexibility of, you can't tell, maybe a ride hailing person to just, hey, hang out while I run into this store real quick. But the Waymo, you're able to kind of pre-schedule those kinds of trips. And I think that's kind of a really cool feature and one that I personally really like. It's almost like having your own chauffeur in a way. So again, that's not really, you can't pool, but that was kind of an interesting feature that I wanted to bring up because I personally really like it.
Yeah. Got time for one more question if anybody. I do believe the southern border of Stephen was sharing with me is Ocotillo Road at this time. So with Sun Lakes neighborhoods residing south of that at the moment, you're not going to have a lot of people in this particular club that are in that zone where they could have it come to their home at this time. Having said that, I know I'm interested and it'll, change happens, right? The world evolves and it would be quite interesting just to see how this continues to mature.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you, Stephen, for sharing that detail. We're just as excited as I think everyone else is to, continue growing and expanding our service territory. And, if you guys are in the territory or, able to get in and take a ride, would love to know what you think. And, that feedback is so helpful. So I hope, I think, John, you said when I joined, there may have been some people who were a little hesitant. So if anyone does have any more questions or wants to chat with me, please feel free to email me, or I'm happy to always chat.
So Amanda, I think that's a great offer. And, again, anytime something is new, it's like a sponge. People need to absorb a lot of different, hey, what about this? And how might that be handled, et cetera. So Stephen, real quick, if you don't mind sharing, how many fully autonomous rides have you participated on?
I have no idea. I
More than
I-
10?
Oh, well more than 10. Yeah. Like I said, I've been driving since they were in like the original beta testing. I was in, I think I think I got in within like 8 or 9 months of releasing the program. So I've taken a lot of rides. But my door is always open. If anybody wants to go take a ride, swing on over to my house. We'll order a Waymo and we'll go partying around somewhere. I did post a link to an article, 10 places to go in Chandler in Waymo. So we can pick a place and go.
All right. So
I love it.
an option other than Vegas, which was my first thought. So, okay,
There you
we'll take a look at that. Okay. Well,
I'm with
Amanda,
you, John.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the time this afternoon and the information. I'm very much looking forward to this as the technology change. The downside is I've got a car that I love to drive, particularly on the weekends, and I'm not ready to give that up anytime soon, but that doesn't mean 100% of where I go from point A to point B has to be with me driving. So,
You know what? So many of us love our own cars too, John. You're not alone. A lot of us are gearheads, so to speak, and we love driving, and that's why we want it to be safer. So, well, thank you everyone for the invite, and it was a pleasure speaking to you, and thanks for all the great questions. I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
you bet. Thank you, Amanda. You're welcome to stay, but if you need to drop off, we fully understand, okay?
I might go off video. Thanks, guys.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. Carrying on, and I know this is an exciting topic that many of you were thinking about this morning when you're having your first cup of whatever your beverage of choice is. We still have about 25 of our current members that have not paid their dues for the upcoming year, so would like to get those paid. There are a couple of things I want to point out. Number one, again, you can pay $70 now and $70 in December as opposed to the full $140 now. But we would like to kind of get the answer of, hey, I'm in for next year and my dues are paid, or I have questions or what have you. The other item with the new corporate membership / sponsor program, there may be a member or two. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure there are a couple of members that may want to quote unquote come in and have their membership be part of a package where they are spending a certain amount of money at a bronze, silver, gold, et cetera level. And if you do have that desire for your company, and that with that will come a membership to the club, please reach out to Stephen or I, because we want to make sure we accommodate that as people go forward with their commitment and involvement with the Sun Lakes Rotary Club. And if for whatever reason you need a break and you're not wanting to maybe renew this next year, obviously I would love to have changed your mind, but just letting me know. I don't really want to be bird dogging and chasing people the last X number of days of the month of June to pay some dues that you really don't have any intentions of paying. So just bear in mind, you know who you are if you've paid or you've not paid, or if you have any questions, just let me know. Stephen, you want to give us a quick update on Rotary Means Business?
Yeah, absolutely, John. Thank you. All right. So with it being Rotary Fellowship Month, we kind of had a little bit of chat going on in the chat section at the beginning. I am absolutely excited about this new fellowship that whether we knew it or not, the Sun Lakes Rotary has officially chartered a business networking fellowship. Yay, it's very exciting. So one of the things that, as you know, very clearly, I am still of working age, and, networking is a huge part of what I do. And what better group of people to network with than Rotarians? But previously there wasn't a way for us to officially network. So what we've developed is it's a international fellowship. It is all over the world. I believe there are currently 157 chartered fellowships, I believe, around the world. It's called Rotary Means Business. Now, what we're going to be doing is we do have a steering committee. So our first general meeting is going to be this next Wednesday. the 16th at 8 a.m. at Panera Bread on Val Vista and Baseline. Now, we did go into Mesa because we had a little bit more interest with some folks on that side of town. So we've got to go where the people are. But if anyone is welcome to come. You can come 2 times as a guest, and it's open to all Rotarians. So if you want to come, we're going to have speakers. It's very similar to the meeting structure here. So if you want to come see what business owners are also Rotarians, let me know. My contact information is in the chat right now.
Excellent, Stephen. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the work that you're leading here for the district, and obviously great that Sun Lakes again is involved as an early adopter, so to speak, in helping get this off the ground. A couple of pieces of information, and then we're going to do some happy sad. Next week's meeting, morning meeting on the 15th of June. It is a hybrid meeting option. You can come in person or you can join via Zoom, but we will be in the Saguaro room over in Cottonwood. We will not be at the Palo Verde restaurant. So those of you in town that want to participate, and this will be in the email that I send out, we will be in the Saguaro room. The following week, the 22nd, which is a club business day, right now it looks like I am going to move that from afternoon to morning based on room availability. And so it too will be a morning meeting on the 22nd of June. That's a club business day. I'm going to kind of go over some of the milestones and the achievements the club has had for this year. We are going to try to make Zoom option available as well at that meeting. And that also is planned for the Saguaro room. So we are going to try on the Saguaro room. It seems very promising. I've gotten a lot of thumbs up and recommendations from members that they feel that'll be a good place for us to meet. I will tell you, in the summer, when we don't have as many folks in town, I know it's going to be just fine as far as capacity and room size. We will see as we migrate into the fall if that continues to be the case. So any questions on that, please let me know. I think we'll shift over to some happy sad. We have a couple. Oh, Gary, go ahead. Sorry. And you're on mute, sir.
My question is, if you could let us know so that on the website, we can post where the meeting is going to be so it's visible. Right now, everything points to Palo Verde, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's going to change to some degree as we move forward.
You're right, Gary. And as soon as we kind of proof a concept and we don't run into any unanticipated wrinkles, we will officially make that change. But it is my intention to pick one or the other and not constantly be popping back and forth. And as soon as we have that, again, I will think by the end of June, I'll be able to give you that firm commitment. We are going to continue, and the Saguaro room will be our home meeting location. Or if we run into an unanticipated problem, we may flip back to Palo Verde as our home location. So I will let those involved with maintaining the website know no later than the end of June. Ed Anderson.
Yeah, I want to congratulate Stephen on organizing this new community for the Rotarians around the entire Maricopa County. I think that once his name is out there and he leads this, it's going to shed great things for Sun Lakes Rotary to be recognized as a leader again. And so, Stephen, congratulations for doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Yeah, nail on the head. Yeah, so it's RMB Phoenix Metro. It's how we're officially chartered. So it's going to be available to all Rotarians in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Excellent. Okay, birthdays. And we have someone whose birthday is actually today, the 8th of June. And he is incredibly young. So we have Peter Mead. Wow, he is really young on that one on the left. I don't know how we dug that one up.
My evil sister. It's my evil sister, Christine.
Oh, okay. Well, Peter, a very happy birthday to you. Larry Hankin, who he and I have communicated over email. His wife, Chloe, has gone through some challenging surgery here over the last few weeks. will stay with the club, but is not basically taken a month to 2 months off in terms of attending meetings on a regular basis. His birthday is tomorrow. If you get a chance, you might want to just drop him a text or an email just to wish him happy birthday. And anniversaries, and I hope my database is accurate, but Terry and David Sanders, the 11th of June, 16 years. Is that an accurate number? Congratulations in advance. I'm banking that you're not going to have something come off the rails in the next 3 days. So we're going to wish you a very happy 16th anniversary.
Thank you.
You bet. And Bill and Barb Schenk, I believe on the 12th, a slightly larger number, 56 years. Bill, congratulations. And to you and Barb.
Thank you. Thank you.
My guess, everybody beats us.
Well,
You guys still have me by about a year.
I was going to say, I would say something that would get me into trouble, so I'm going to choose not to say it at this moment. And
Well,
I'll try.
And I'm going to stop too.
Yeah, my wife once told me, quit while you're behind, so I'm going to do that. Okay, real quick lightning round on happy, sad. Anything to share for this week? Peter Mead.
Just $60 because I'm 60 years old.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I only wish my database had said you were 90, but I've got to tell the truth. It's 60.
Anybody
Okay.
remember 60?
Anybody else for happy, sad today? Oh, wow. It's a light crowd. Okay, I'm going to kick in $20 this week. Stephen has very much invited me to come to his house and take a ride. And sir, you are on. So we'll work on securing that date. And I promise not to show up wearing a crash helmet and goggles. Okay, so. Anybody else on happy, sad for this week? Okay.
Yeah, I've got,
Oh, go ahead, Don Preston.
Is there meal service going to be over at Saguaro, or is there?
Yes, there will be. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the actual kitchen that does the food we've been enjoying over at Palo Verde is at Cottonwood, and things get moved over to Palo Verde. So yes, same style breakfast, and I will work on picking out an afternoon menu at our first afternoon meeting that we're able to have at Saguaro. We're going to have to get our oar in the water and get pretty consistent on which dates we're going to use, because the reason we are not going to have an afternoon meeting on the 23rd is that room is already booked, or it's booked to the point where they can't flip it over and make it available to us in time for our afternoon club meeting. But there will be food available at either location. Val Crump.
Pledge $20 to go to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library in honor of Dylan Anderson, made Gatorade Player of the Year.
Wow, congratulations to Dylan, great work. And that's, Dylan, and that's going to DPIL, okay. Very good. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. Zach, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. And I will wish everybody a good week. Again, if you have any questions on your dues, please reach out and let me know. Otherwise, we'll look forward to receiving payments. Thanks, everybody.
see, I just got it.